Right,
Yo,
all right. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
what's poppin', man? How are you?
I'm good, man. It's Drew. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, everything is good. Everything is good, man. How's your evening going? I know you've been on the creative flow. How's everything?
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I slept all day today. I slept
Nice.
all day today. I've been working pretty hard on a couple of things, and I just needed to crash today. So I said, you know what? I'm a crash.
Sometimes we all just gotta take that rest, you know?
Yeah. How things with you?
Yeah, things is good, man. Things is getting busy. Summertime here in New York City, so the
Yeah.
weather getting nice. People want to go outside. People want to have
Right.
events. We missed an artist like you coming over here and giving us the vibes, So
Yeah.
things are
We miss
starting
it
to
too,
pick
man.
back up,
We
you
miss it
know.
too. We miss it too.
Yeah. So the weather's getting nice, summer vibes. We're just hoping we don't get hit with a second wave.
Yeah.
Everybody, we still hope everybody's social distancing and stuff like that. But we missing the
Facts.
vibes for sure, bro.
Yeah. It's rough, but I will get through it, man. We'll get through it. We got to find a way. We're resilient people, so we got to make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so I know this quarantine has been like an emotional roller coaster, right? Especially
Right.
for creatives. So can you give me kind of like your overall experience of how things have been, from March or whatever the inception of lockdown was for you to now? What has that journey been like for you as a creative?
To be real honest with you, man, like for me, from March, I'd say about 2 weeks into the lockdown, I found myself in a reflective space, bro. Like I found myself trying to just figure out things that I didn't have a chance to figure out or slow down and figure out. It caused everybody to slow down. We had no choice. We had to stop. Everybody had to stop. And it was at that point in time I made a decision. It was either I stop and become one of the people that are depressed and oh man, I can't go outside and I can't this and I can't that, or find a way to be as creative as possible to you know be as relevant as possible to find different ways to do it without touching a stage. So my team and I, we sat down and we just tried to figure out different ways, and we came up with the Drue story. And then after the Drue story, we decided that homesick would be a perfect song to relate to what people are going through.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna get into Homesick, but first, definitely like the Drew Story series, man. Wow, like I definitely just gotta say, wow, the production of it, the quality, the story, getting to know you as an
Right.
artist. We watched all 8 episodes of
Appreciate
based
that.
on a Drew Story series. I loved it. I
Appreciate that.
definitely think definitely more artists should experiment in that route. And we got to learn about your experiences, and we got to know you more personally. I know on episode 5, which I think was called Patrice and the Police, you spoke about
Right.
your experiences
Right.
as a black man within U.S. police, and what
Correct.
and right now we have a lot of things going on here in America. Given your experience and everything like that, does you feel like it gave you an insight as to the struggles that are going on here in America? Was it something you could relate to? Did it make you question certain things, like stuff like that?
Most definitely, most definitely. Just because like for a good couple hours we were treated like criminals. We didn't do anything. They had no reason to hold us. They had no reason to make us sit where we sat. They put us next to the trash. I mean, they didn't, get violent, but it was a situation that like you felt worthless at that point in time. And for me, I can only imagine like people go through worse than that. So it really made us sit down and think to ourselves like man, like I wonder if that would have happened if we were a different race. I wonder how things would have went if we weren't black. And then for how they treated Patrice and Brittany. Okay, I mean, when I went back to Patrice and Brittany, they were pretty upset. And they destroyed Sham's car, ripped out glove compartments, everything, and it was just as okay. Well, we did that. You fix it. It's your problem now. You fix it. And for me, it's not cool, and it's good to see that now we as a people are standing up and fighting for what is necessary. If we don't do it now, it now is the time, man. Like we have to do it now. So it's good to see.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think you touched on something really important there was that yes, things didn't get violent and stuff like that, but there's still trauma, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's one thing that specifically Black Americans are facing right now is this trauma that's just been bubbling and culminating over years
Yep.
and years
Yep.
and years of systematic oppression,
Yep.
right? And it manifests in so many different ways. Um,
Facts.
but yeah, it's really really interesting to hear your perspective on that. Thanks for sharing that, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
What inspired you to actually start the series? Because you know, like I said, like media and stuff like that is something that's totally what I'm into, right? So I loved
Hmm.
seeing what you did, and I want to hear your inspiration behind, you know, how it started and what the process was and your intentions and all that stuff.
Well, I'll be real honest with you, bro. Um, it initially started as there were a lot of rumors that were circulating my name at a point in time. And I felt like over the last 3 years, I felt like, I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to let people know, like, what you guys think is not what it is. But I didn't really have the platform or the forum or even the confidence to say, well, you know what, I'm gonna stand up and do this because everybody has an opinion. Everybody's like a bad man behind Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. So I was like, I wasn't ready to go into that war because I didn't know how to yet. And then one day I was sitting down and I was just like, you know what, enough is enough. Let me just sit down and I'm just gonna tell my story. So if you watch the first episode, you'll see that the first episode was just me sitting down and just talking. And the reception, the response that I got from the first episode for me was just like, wow, you know, people actually enjoyed this. People actually wanted to hear what was going on. So it went from I want to prove myself to I want you to get to know me. I want you to understand me. So we started to do the stories in a manner where like I'd get guests to come in and talk and tell their sides. So then that way it also didn't come across as if I was being biased. I was just trying to be unfair and just tell a lie or whatever the case is. So we reached out to friends and big up to Lord Edit, big up to Crown Media House. They did a really good job in terms of making sure the edits looked good, the intro looked good, and it just became a thing where people just message me, they privately message me and they say, bro, I appreciate this. I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate, how you're letting us in. And then it went from that to, hey, I went through this. I experienced this, especially with the same story portrayed in the police. It was one of those things where, so many people messaged me and tell me about things that would have happened to them in America. And then my last story, Daddy wasn't there. Oh man, the amounts of people that would have messaged me and told me how they felt about their parents, their mom wasn't there, their father wasn't there, they had to leave at a certain time. It was crazy. So it went from me just trying to prove myself to me just building a bond with those who support me and those who didn't even know me.
Amazing, man. Yeah, and I think you touch on a really important point, which is getting people to see you past the persona that's on social media or
Right.
what people see on stage, right? Because I always find social media and stage presence is always, it's not entirely who we are, it's a piece of who we are, right?
Exactly.
It's like a fraction of our entire being.
Right.
And I definitely think you did a really, really great job at creating something to connect with the audience. I just
Thank
want
you,
to
bro.
big up these people in the chat real quick. 29 Blaze, she said, I have a newfound love for you, man, after watching all the episodes as a man and as a soca artist. Real nice.
Appreciate that.
Real
Appreciate
nice.
that.
Real nice. Yes. And yeah, if you all are just tuning in, we're just talking about the Based on a Drue story series, which you can check out on Ricardo Drue's IGTV. He has all some really, really dope episodes, which will give you guys some insights as to him as an artist and also some of the other people in the industry, as well as, him as a person and all the kind of things that you wouldn't normally see, on social media or right on stage and stuff like
Right.
that. As well as that, if
And
any of you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know by hitting the little question box. We'd love to hear your feedback.
yeah, most definitely. And if it's difficult to go through IGTV, you can check it out on my YouTube too. That's Team Drue. YouTube.com/Team Drue.
Vibes, man. So I have a next question. So what can we expect maybe a season two? Because I know we just got
Yeah,
a season one.
Season two is actually we're actually in the works with season two right now. You know, putting together the episodes because what we did in season one is like we were just experimenting. So every episode came week by week. So I would record episode five on the week of episode five, sometimes on the Wednesday to release it for the Thursday. But now we have an idea of where we want to go with season two, how we want to deal with it. So now we're starting to record episodes early. We're starting to put things in place, making sure that we do things a little bit better. We have some sponsors involved as well. So, you know, things are working out, and I'm really glad for that. So to everybody that was tuned in and everybody that gave it so much love, thank you for that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I definitely want to big up Lord Editing Crown Media, two of my favorite videographers as well that I always reference. I love seeing media and artists working together, man. It's just it takes Caribbean culture and content to a next level
Have
for the
to,
world,
have to,
you know.
have to.
Um, so one of the other questions I have comes from you as your inspirations, right, in
Mm,
your artistry. Um, I know that you have, like, from the series, from what I've seen, you have inspirations like 50 Cent, Marshall, of course, Chris
mm.
Brown, Bob Marley. Do you have any other inspirations?
I can tell you my mother's a big inspiration for me. My sons, my daughter, they're huge inspirations in my life. My grandmother, um, who else, boy? My grandfather, you know, R.I.P. to him. He is and was a big inspiration to me. Like so many things that he did, I just wanted to be so much. You know, I just wanted to be just like him. And so those are a couple of people in my life that definitely provide me with inspiration to make sure that when I feel low, I gotta get up and keep going.
Definitely. And to have that family and the support and everything, I know that that makes a huge difference on those days when you're not
For
feeling
sure,
to get up and do it. And, so
for sure,
that's
for sure.
That's amazing, man. So one of my next questions is why Soca, right? You have such an extensive artistry and a
Mm,
very and there's a lot of diversity in what you create. What is it
right.
specifically about Soca that made you want to pursue that? Like, why not like hip hop, R&B, EDM, or like one of the other genres?
Well, to be quite honest with you, in the earlys, I wanted to do pop, right? And I would say like this is like 2004, 2005. I was like, yo, I want to do pop. Pop music is the way I want to go. And then I met a DJ by the name of DJ Crown Prince. And Crown Prince told me, he said, dog, you're from you're from Antigua, you know, you have Trinidad roots. Why not do your culture? Why not, you know, sell your culture, be a part of your culture? Like, why you not focus on that aspect of it? And I went home that night and I thought about it. And I was like, you know, he's right. You know, why fight up with these millions of people to sell something that is theirs when I could fight up with my people and sell something that's mine, that belongs to me, that belongs to us. And from that day on, it was soca, man. Like I decided, I dedicated my life to being part of it, to bringing the culture forth as much as I could. And even though it took me how many years before I actually got an opportunity to get an international song, it was still a blessing. And when I got that, it was still what we wanted to do. And then the man that actually took the song to a whole nother level was Crown Prince by doing his Crown Prince edit. So it was crazy how life, you know, started, how that started in 2004 and then began in 2015. So
Amazing, man. One question I always love to ask soca artists is that, we as fans, and you could argue as artists as well, have a kind of expectation of what soca should or shouldn't sound like, right? Like, some people might say soca is the jump on wave. Some people might say soca is the feel good music. Have
mm,
there ever been times when you felt like, because of what fans and what we expect soca to sound like, has that ever affected your creativity? Like, have you ever felt that soca limits you sometimes in expressing your full creativity, or do you feel that it provides you access to all your emotions, all your creativity to fully express yourself?
a couple years ago, yes, I would say I felt very limited. I would feel like I have to sing about either partying, or I have to sing about drinking rum, or I have to sing about, you know, those kind of things. But now I have made a decision within myself that, soca is a genre by itself. It's music, and music is a form of expression. So if I want to sing a sad song and put it and make it soca, I'm gonna do that. It may not connect with the wide audience of soca lovers, but it will connect with somebody, because at the end of the day, people still love soca. And we've seen that in songs like Stamp Your Name. We've seen in songs like I Got You, Voices, Yeah for Love, the breakup song. Thank you for whoever mentioned that. So like I decided, look, however I feel is what I'm going to put out. It just so happened at one point everybody thought how I felt is like actual things that I was going through in my life. So they're like, oh man, he's singing this song for that one, or he's singing that song. But no, it's just that I like to sing about what people are going through, and you will see that in the next couple releases that we have. We have a song called Lucky coming out it's not the typical, you know, soca content. You know what I mean? And we have a song called Fire 6. You'll hear that as well. And a song called Doing It Too. So the direction for me, yes, I want to sing about the party. And yes, I want to sing about the jump up and the drinking, but I also want to sing about how you feel. Like I want you to put on my song in a car and be able to drive all the way to New York from Florida and still be listening to soca. That, okay, enough. I don't want that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah, and I can definitely see the versatility, and a lot of the recent releases and stuff like that. So I learned in your series that you also took part in America's Got Talent, right? With the
Yeah.
group Crossover, your former group Crossover,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, and your experience led you to like your solo career.
Correct.
So what I would like to ask you is, if you had gone and proceeded and made it all the way to the finals, do you think that you would have still stuck in soca, or would you have gone on to maybe experiment with some other genres?
I think I'd have still been in soca, bro, and I think that was one of the reasons that the group and I separated too, or not only because of what happened at America's Got Talent, but because we had different visions. Chris wanted to do R&B. Josh wanted to do rap. Uh, Cupid he would just go with the flow. But me personally, I wanted to do soca. Like I was just like, look, soca is a genre that at that time it wasn't as global as it was, and it is now. Sorry. So I felt like it's gonna come a time where it's just gonna explode, and we need to be on that train when it explodes. And they just couldn't see it the way I saw it. So if that had happened, I would have still been fighting for soca.
That's good to hear, man. So definitely soca from small and soca
Yeah, yeah,
forever.
yeah, yeah. Forever till I
Amazing.
die.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So before I get into your latest release, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to go back a little bit to You Should Be Here.
Right.
The production, the lyrics, the visuals, I loved it. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Good times.
Um, if you thought one Ricardo True was enough, we have like four as a band in the visuals, right? Which I thought was really cool. Talk to us about like the effort behind that song, the lyrics, the production, the music video. What was the whole creative process behind it?
You know what? It was just like a pot of everybody just throwing in ideas. I work a lot with NMG, so I brought NMG to my house in Florida, and we spent about a whole week just trying to find a sound that I'm accustomed doing, but it's just a slightly refined. And NMG he was determined. He was like, look, I know you like to do it this way, I know you like to do it that way, but I want to go this way. And no matter how I tried to go left, he'd always pull me back right. And we sat down there. Then we couldn't find it. So one day I picked up the phone and I was just like, "Hey, Culture." Now, Culture's a writer from the Virgin Islands, and I said, "Hey, listen, I want you to come to Florida for 2 days. Let's do some work, and you can go back home." So I brought him there, and we're recording something, and in the middle of recording a song, I just hear this thing in my head, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, so I started beating it on the piano. And Nikolai's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "I don't know, it's just an idea I came up with." And he's like, "Scrap this, let's put this down." And we ended up putting it down. And he went, after that, he took it, went home, got musicians. He did his whole production, made sure it was live. And then my brother, after he heard it, he's like, "Yo, you you ever seen this movie on Netflix, bro?" I was like, "What movie is that?" Can't remember. Can't remember what the movie was, man. Anyway, he's like, "Go check it out." And he's like, "Yo, you should do a video like this for You Should Be Here." And I was like, "Oh yeah." I liked it. I shot the idea to Lord Edit. Lord Edit was like, "Yo, let's do it." And that was it. The rest was history. And it was so loved in Antigua that we decided, you know what, we're actually going to do another video that we haven't released yet, due to Corona. And we did a whole video shooting around Antigua, just showing you, different places of Antigua where you should be when you come to visit. So we're going to release that as soon as it's okay for people to go back to Antigua, so you can see what you can and need to do.
Nice. I'm really looking forward to that release as well. Antigua, I visited before with my family when I was a kid, but now as an adult and someone who's in soca, like, and someone who's very interested in learning so much more about the soca scene in Antigua, I think that's there's a whole plethora, a whole gem on that
Yeah, yeah,
island,
yeah.
bro. You know?
You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go.
Absolutely. So I want to jump right into it. Your latest release, right? Quarantine
Yes.
has inspired many artists of all different genres to create great music, in accordance what we are all collectively feeling,
Right.
including yourself. So can you talk to me
Thank you.
about Homesick? What was the process and the visuals and everything? It was relatable, also still a bit humorous. I seen you do some tricks with the carib, like without spilling a drop. You got to teach me that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. There was a video that was circulating from the start of COVID. A man was on top of the roof and he's like, "I'm fed up. I want to wine in somebody fat." And for me, we were sitting down. We were sitting down doing something. It was myself, Patrice, Preety, and somebody else. And then Patrice jumped up and she's like, "I'm fed up. I want to sing in somebody fat." So I looked at her and I was like, "I'm stealing that." And we had Homesick. Homesick was written for me about 4 years ago. It was written by Dale Ryan, Emmanuel Rudder, and Advocate. Then Lero and I sat down a few years later and we tweaked it a bit. And one day, Rhythm Stream, my manager, he picked up the phone and he's like, "Dog, you know what song would work right now?" I was like, "What's that?" Because I'm not even thinking about it. He's like, "Homesick." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, man, Homesick would work perfect right now." And he's like, "Maybe you should do a video where you're just stuck in the house." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I go, I sleep on it, and I call him back the next day, and I was like, "Yo, you are seriously right. Like, I feel like this could work." So I call NMG, I bring him to the house, we record the vocals, we change up some things, call Lero, we tell Lero, "Hey, this is what we want to do," speak to the other guys, and then we call Edit, we call Novindra, NH Productions, and we say, "Okay, guys, this is the direction we want to go with it." And we just made the rest happen. We went up to Toko in Trinidad, and we just decided, look, we're going to shoot and we're going to ask for people to just send in videos of them just looking miserable, not even looking miserable, just feeling how they're feeling. And everybody else just sent in whatever they wanted, how they felt. And it was so real, man. Like Willie, Jester, Drue, Patrice, Preety, who shared. There was so many people that were a part of it that I was so grateful for it, because it put them in vulnerable spots, because it wasn't really acting. That's how everybody felt. And when we released it, my expectation, because of the climate, was a bit low. I was like, "You know what, guys, we're gonna release it. We're not gonna expect this rave. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna stay behind it." And on the first day, I was just like, wow, like, the amount of people that was like that it just touched. It was like, "Look, I feel this way, bro. I feel this way." And then we, of course, added the "I fed up," so everybody's like, "I fed up," and it just worked out for us, and we're happy for that, man. So everybody out there, thank you.
No, that's amazing, man. I mean, seeing you in the shower with your raincoat, that for me, like I died laughing at that part. But I definitely felt the emotion, like especially when I saw Patrice just sitting on the beach, and it was
Yeah,
something so I don't know if I have the right words to explain, but I can kind of feel the pain, you know,
Yeah.
just by the visuals and how everything looked.
Right.
I think that whole emotion that you were trying to convey really came across very fluidly and really
Thank you, man.
well. And I think a lot of people can relate to it,
Thank you.
definitely.
Thank you.
I want to big up some people in the chat real quick. Log D and Loaded, I see in all the Antigua love. JR Friday, big up
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, live, love, soca, of
Look,
course.
look,
Thank
look,
you
look, look at
always.
flags.
Plenty, 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 plenty. Arlene, big up yourself. Very cool, man. So I know the quarantine has really affected the soca industry, the entertainment industry across the globe, right? And
Correct.
artists, entertainers, promoters, everybody in the whole realm, we all have to redefine and rethink how we're going to go forward. So, do you feel with the quarantine, like, has your strategy changed in terms of releasing music and how you go about, planning the rest of your year as an artist?
Yeah, it definitely has. Because remember, at this point in time, most artists that dive into the festivals head on would have had about 4 or 5 songs to release, or would have had 4 or 5 songs out at this point. And for me, the COVID actually pushed us back to say, okay, cool, well, you know what? We can't release 4 or 5 songs right now. Let's do it like how they do it in R&B. Let's do it how they do it in hip hop. Let's release one song, focus on that one song, create some visuals, do this, do that, and let's make that song a hit. Let's not wait to see out of the 5 songs which song is going to become a hit. You understand? So it creates now a little more structure to what we do, as opposed to just throwing things at the wall. You know what? I have homesick, and I'm gonna take homesick, and for the next 3 months, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna focus on this one record. I might release a rhythm here or there, but I'm gonna focus on this one record, and I'm gonna see how much I can get out of this one record, and then I'll do something else. And for me, I think that's cool. It also has put us in a position where we have to change the content a bit. We have to, because we can't really sing about drinking in a fete if there's no fetes for us to drink in. I mean, we can, but it's not really going to work out too well. So I think it definitely has changed the strategy, at least for me. I can't really speak for my brothers and sisters, but I know a few artists around me that feel the same way. Now we can just zone in and focus. We can take some time. We can take a 4 months and work a record.
Amazing, man. Yeah, and it's crazy to hear that as well because I think what that also kind of indirectly states is that we're moving a little bit away now from soca as a seasonal genre, right?
Yeah,
We're moving away from soca just releasing for carnivals only, and then kind of using those same tunes to kind of carry on throughout the year. I think now what it sounds like to me is that we're or what we should be kind of expecting is soca music to kind of come all year round now.
right, right.
How do you feel about, like, what are your thoughts on that, like on soca as in terms of season and as a seasonal genre, or being released year round? Is it more difficult to do? Does it impact the creativity? Like, what's the kind of the process behind that?
I think when we think about it as something seasonal, it does limit you. Like it limits you to what you can put out, what you want to create, what you want to say, what you want to sing. Like, because we're thinking about every fete that might happen in that season, as opposed to me just thinking about what Sarah went through yesterday, or what Jack went through today. So for me, it's like we have to. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, we have to get out of that frame of mind, and this is the time. We have no choice. We have no choice. We have to now understand that soca, and this is for those who don't understand it, because there are a lot of artists that do understand it. Big up my little brother Antonio out there. It's not seasonal. I can release a song in April, and it still be soca, and it should still be relevant at a certain time. We have to get out of that frame of mind, and I think now more than ever. Look, my brother Justy just released a whole album, and a lot of the songs are not necessarily the typical, what you'd consider the typical soca. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to keep doing.
Absolutely, yeah, and I love that you brought up just the album, because my next question was actually going to be like, now that we kind of see a shift in soca happening seasonally and more throughout the year, is delving into creating an album something that we can expect from Ricardo Drue, or is it kind of up in the air? Is something in the progress, like stuff like that?
Yeah, man, most definitely. We actually have a couple albums planned out now. In a week or two, myself and the entire team, Rhythm Stream Toya, and K13, we're actually going to be releasing an album called Homesick, which is a compilation of all the work that I would have done with Mr. Roots, who is in New York actually. So, and Mr. Roots has been responsible for a lot of my hits, a lot, like, and a lot of my crowns in Antigua as well. So we're doing that first album. That album is called Homesick. Later down the year, we're going to do a album called Based on a Drue Story, which will feature the songs that would have been in the Drue Stories with a couple new tracks as well. And then 2021, we have an album, and we're not sure the name of the album yet, but we have the songs for the album already. So, we actually looking into doing these things now.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, I'm feeling the excitement. I know people in the chat feeling the excitement. Rhythm Stream, big up yourself. Ashley Rowe, big up yourself. So I actually know. Speaking of Rhythm Stream, I know you guys have a pretty good relationship. What's the whole story with that?
Man, Sham came into my life, and he's just always been like a big brother, man. And it's so funny, right? Because when I met him, he was managing a artist by the name of Lottie out of the label Danger Zone. And, he was always this quiet dude, but he was always effective. Like, he's like a sniper. Like, he stand up in the trees and he just shoot, boom, boom, and take out whoever he needs to take out. By the time you turn your back, like, Sham already has everything that you need, everything you need sorted out. And then one day we get to sit down, and I'm like, yeah, bro, and my birthday's coming up on the 31st of July. And he's like, the 31st? He's like, my birthday's on the 30th. I was like, word? So, it just so happened that, like, our relationship just kept flowing like that. And, like, he would just take, like, he was very, like, selfless. Like, he would just, anytime I needed something and I didn't have it, he would do it. Like, this man, one time he went and he would work. He was working at that time for a company, AT&T. And if I needed a video shot, Sham is working from morning to afternoon. The video's shooting on the weekend. So he always looked out for me. And I think then what really sealed the relationship was that Patrice and the Police story. Like our license are suspended, and he's like, the cop is asking me who's driving, and I'm like, I'm not talking. I'm not saying it. So when we got outside, now Sham was like, I rate you. And our relationship just maintained from there, man.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, it's friends that last, right? Friends that become family, So amazing,
Yeah,
man.
he says he's recording this.
Shama, also send you a recording just in case. Don't worry. I want to bring up a question from someone in the chat real quick.
Tell me.
This one is from Tabletop. It says, what was your biggest challenge coming up in the industry?
Biggest challenge for me, it was identity. Because I came into the industry through Trinidad. I was born in Antigua, but I lived in Florida. So when I'd go to Trinidad, they'd be like, this Antiguan. When I went to Antigua, they'd go, this Trinidadian. And when I went to Florida, or anywhere in the States, they'd be like, this Jamaican. And it was really difficult to find my own spot, because it was like everybody was always putting me somewhere else. And for me, after a while, I just decided to take all of them, put it in one pot, and just be Ricardo. Like, whoever you want me to be, that's your opinion. But I'm gonna give you the best me I know how to give you. And then the other thing on the flip side of that now is finding your identity in the music. I couldn't be a Kiss. I couldn't be a Edwin Yearwood. I couldn't be a Blacks. I had to find a niche to be Ricardo. And it took me a long, long time to figure that out. And one year, 2014, I went to my band member, Juice, and I said, Juice, I am going to quit. I'm tired. I'm fed up of it. I don't want to do this no more. And Juice looked at me and he said, the reason why you feel so frustrated is because you're trying to be everybody else and you're not trying to be yourself. And we went in the studio. I went in the studio with Burger, and I said, Burger, we need to find an identity. And then Vagabond was created, and that became Ricardo Drue. You know, the character, putting some character in the music. And, you know, we pride ourselves now in doing things or trying to do things that would be difficult for our next artist to do.
Absolutely. And I mean, like Vagabond, wow. Vagabond for me is actually a very special tune because the first time I ever visited Trinidad was when Vagabond was released.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
remember getting there and, just sitting on the veranda with my family and my friends and just playing Vagabond on repeat,
Yeah.
non-stop, bro. I kid you not, non-stop. Like, this was maybe 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I remember like just being there, and I always think of that year, and I'm like, yo, the first time I ever went to Trinidad, Vagabond was the defining song for like my first time ever experiencing the Twin Islands. So
That's cool to hear, man.
um,
That's really cool to hear.
yeah, yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, it's definitely a really, really defining tune. What was the process for you, with Vagabond? I know and you speak on something really important, which is identity, right? Having roots in Antigua and then roots in Trinidad, and also having a bit of America, like all these different cultures coming into you and
Right.
kind of becoming like an amalgam. Do
Mm.
you feel all those identities really came out and contributed to Vagabond and its success?
Yeah, it definitely did, man. It definitely did because if you listen to Vagabond, right, there's so many different pieces in the song. There's a chant in it that is really Antigua. You understand? There's a piece of it that is really melodic, like Trinidad, like you really kind of feel. And then there's just like there's a part in it where like even I wanted to go a little American, but Berger pulled me back a little bit. But it was like a compilation of everything, and that is legit exactly how I felt at the time because I was like, all right, Berger, we getting a little too rough here. Let's change it up here. Let's go. Cause it's whole day. We on a mission. You know what I mean? So let's go this direction. Then we come back into the Antigua swing. And that chant, that hey, 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 the way that I jamming in the band. So it's like we took everything, we put it in a pot, we mixed it up, and we just said, you know what? You take this.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, I love hearing the story behind really really hit songs like that. One of the other questions I have, so I know, like for example, you say that it has a lot of Antiguan roots, and there's so many amazing things that I've seen and heard about Antigua Carnival.
Mm.
Can you tell us what really stands out most to you with Antigua Carnival, and specifically the style of soca or the sound of soca that comes out from Antigua?
Um, I think that we're not really we don't really care too much about the style, not the style, sorry, the look. When I say the look, I mean it's not all about going and taking Instagram, and we're not doing it for the media.
Yeah.
We go out there to have the best time of our lives. If for some reason your feathers fall off the first second you get on the road, man, once you have alcohol and you have the people around you, forget that. Forget that. We're a people that we enjoy ourselves. We enjoy our company. We enjoy our music, and we enjoy the moment. And we want you to enjoy the moment with us. So, we make sure from start to finish, that's it. You are going to leave there thinking to yourself, you know what, this was a small carnival, but it was probably one of the best carnivals I've ever been to. Our energy is on a whole different level, and it comes from the music. It comes from the rhythm that just keeps hitting you in your chest. And then we don't have a problem making fun of ourselves and doing gimmicks. We will fly around a truck like Superman or like a dragonfly or whatever the case may be. We don't care about what you think. We don't care about, look, he looking like a fool. No, come look like a fool with us. We grab you, we pull you in. And beyond that, our people are just friendly people. We're inviting people. But don't cross us because you will get one of these.
Definitely, well said, man. Yeah, big up to everybody right now in the chat showing love to Antigua with all the flags. That's what I'd love to see.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
bring
yeah.
up a really important point, bro, which is that you come out to have a good time, right? And this is the kind of magic I find with the carnivals in the other islands,
Right.
because some people would say, especially the older generation, will say that the carnival that we have in the Big Islands, especially in Trinidad, has started to become very commercialized and very superficial, right? And so you get carnival, quote, like kind of like carnival hunters that are looking for the realest and most authentic experience they can get. And based on what I've heard, I hear that Antigua like definitely offers that vibe, you know. So it's incredible to hear, you know, that tradition and everything is still staying true.
Yeah.
Um, and I definitely hear it in the music. I think Antigua does a really amazing job at blending tradition with modern sounds, and like you definitely see that on the Liberta rhythm,
Right.
which you know I sent that to a few friends, and they're like, "Yo." Some people are like, "Yo, I've never really been too much into the new sounds of soca, but this took me back to my childhood, or
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
took me to a place where I remember growing up in Guyana, you know, in the bottom house, and this is the kind of music that we would
Yeah,
listen
yeah,
to."
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and you need music to take you back there. You definitely need music to take you back there, and of course, you need music to take you forward. And in order to know where you're going, you got to know where you come from. So you know, it's a good balance for us.
definitely. So we have about 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna go into our next question here, bro. So Drew's Day, right?
Yes.
It's it is, and if not, definitely one of the most anticipated fetes in Antigua.
Right.
How
Right.
important is it to you as an artist to have a show for your fans, and what kind of freedom does it give you that you wouldn't maybe typically get in, you know, like a standard event or something like that?
Man, it's really important. It's really important because you know, like when you get booked for a show, you get a certain amount of time. You know, sometimes it might be a 35-minute show, it might be 45, it might even be an hour. And with the amount of music that I've put out in Antigua, it's very difficult for me to do that in an hour, 45 minutes or 35 minutes. So after reaching a certain point in our career, we decided that we wanted to do a show not only to showcase what we want to do, put on a performance, put on a concert, but also to show people or show yes to show people our patrons or fans exactly how we think we should put it forth, not how promoter X wants us to do it or promoter Y wants us to do it. So we did Drew's Day. It was actually at first it was actually fought down. They're like, "Yo, you're gonna do a show on a Tuesday? That's not making no sense. It's gonna fail." And we decided, you know what, we're just gonna go through with it, man. First year it rained out, people enjoyed themselves, and the second year was one of the biggest years of my career in Antigua. So many people showed up, they enjoyed themselves, and we pride ourselves on making sure that we do the show for them every year. Every year, if we can, given we can't do it this year, but you know, make sure we do it for them because they have made us who we are.
Incredible, man. Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I love about, you know, Druze especially is that it gives us the chance to look out for some of the local artists that maybe we might not hear about in the
Right.
mainstream media and stuff. So I want to bring up a question from Gel real quick.
Mhm.
It is, who are some of the Antiguan artists that we should look out for?
Right. So I'll tell you my two artists first. There's Young Lyrics, who is a pretty talented young artist that's coming up. There is Kimmy, who is also a pretty talented young female artist in Antigua. Um, you know, overall, one of the biggest artists in Antigua, Tian Winter. You should check him out. There is Menace. There is who else? Who else? Who else? There's Zamoni. There is well, of course, everybody knows Claudette Peters. Everybody knows Tizzy. There's quite a few young artists. We do a show called ID Land that we showcase as many young artists as we can coming up, you know, and for us it's always bringing attention, but for me I'm gonna leave it there. You see Young Lyrics, you see Kimmy, I want you guys to go and check them out, check them out, check them out, check them out.
Amazing, man. Yeah, and I love hearing that. You know, like seeing that soca is not just staying stagnant with one generation, but is crossing to people of different age groups and evolving, and to see that the mentorship and the camaraderie is definitely there. What is like some really important tips or advice that you would give to up and coming soca artists?
All right, before I get into that,
Yeah.
somebody did mention a band actually that I did forget, LSA. They're like the new burning flames. They are definitely like the new burning flames of Antigua. They're making sure that that line of the culture is staying relevant. To up and coming artists, my advice to you is to stay focused. Do not let small success get to your head. Try to remain as humble as possible. And if you believe in yourself, if you believe in your brand, if you believe in what you can bring to the table, believe in it. Stay true to it. Keep working on it. Make sure that you do your research. Make sure that if you feel that you're at a A, bring it down to A minus and keep working to A plus. You understand? Keep being as focused as you can be on your product, because your product is what you're going to be selling to the people. And if you sell it to somebody and they realize that you're not selling them something that is A grade, they're gonna leave. And then the last thing is know when to take constructive criticism, and then try to understand when somebody is trying to stop you from being who you need to be. So know when to pick out the good and know when to leave the bad.
Incredible, man. That's phenomenal advice. I definitely agree with all of it. One of the challenges I've actually heard from up and coming artists is that sometimes it's difficult for them to hop on a rhythm, or to get like a big name producer to kind of work with them to build them up when they don't really have any experience. Is there any advice that you could give to the artists specifically when it comes to looking for producers and looking for the right rhythm to express themselves on?
Yes, I want to add to my last piece of advice though. Everybody is not your friend. That is the last thing. Everybody is not your friend. Now, to answer that question, that was important 2015, 14, 13, 12, go back. Teddyson John is a perfect example of an artist trying to do that. An artist always looking to get on a rhythm, looking to be on the most popular things. Every one of Teddyson John's hits has been something he produced for himself. And if he didn't produce it for himself, he started the production and somebody else finished it. So now you don't necessarily, and you know what, producers might hate me for this, but you don't necessarily need to chase down the biggest producer to get, something that is going to work for you. You do what you think, do what you feel, and then the next thing too is like you have all these platforms now that you don't necessarily need anybody else. You create your own platform and you just put in the work. Put in the work and you will get the reward. You may not get the reward tomorrow, but you will get the reward eventually. We need to stop being so, especially in soca, we need to stop being so dependent on what we think is hot, what we think is the next big thing. My brother, my sister, you are the next big thing. So you just take it, run with it, go with it, and stop believing that, I need this one or I need that one. No, you don't. You just need to work out.
Amazing, bro. Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very awesome. Um, I want to bring up one lighthearted question from someone in the chat. This one is coming from Miss Toys. She asks, breakfast or lunch? Which one can you prepare the best?
Breakfast. I'm a big breakfast man. I'm a big breakfast man. Like, I love to get up and make, breakfast. I could do lunch, but breakfast is my thing.
Vibes, 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 vibes. So, Drue, we spoke about a lot of your music. We spoke about your biggest hits. Before we wrap things up, tell us where we can find you at. And actually, no, before we go into that, let me actually ask, what is the next thing now for Ricardo Drue?
Well, right now, As we discussed, we're working on the second season of Based on a True Story. Our focus right now is on that carrot boy. Make sure you grab yourself a carrot.
Yeah.
We're working on making sure that we secure the success of Homesick, and we're actually planning out the next couple of releases. We have between now and November 1st, we have about 4 releases that we wanted to deal with. We just have to make sure we plan it properly. And for me, it's just putting things in place, just making sure that we can secure the next couple years, trying to be 10 steps ahead. And that's really it. That's really it. Just, making sure we secure the bag.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for your time. Let us know where we can find you at your social media platforms, where your music is streaming at, or all the good stuff.
Right. So, as we said, you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at It's Drue. ITS. Who say I never see me cooking? Man, I cook breakfast all the time on my Instagram. Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Not Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Drue at ITSDRUE. Snapchat is ITZDRUE. Check us out and subscribe to the YouTube, www.youtube.com/Team Drue. We have Homesick out right now. You can binge watch all the Drue stories of season 1. We have We have a couple things out. The album for Homesick is going to be released in a week or two. Look out for so many things from us, man. And what else? And look out for Drue's Day. People, if you're coming to Antigua next year, come to Antigua right before Drue's Day, which will be the Tuesday, right before Carnival starts. Come for that whole week. Come experience T-shirt mass, the Drue's Day, the raft up. Come experience it. Subscribe to the YouTube, and to you guys, thank you so much for having us today. I really, really appreciate it.
Much love, Drue. Thank you so much for all the insights, to hear everything behind the scenes of the music, all the valuable advice you give to the young artists. Look forward to so much more stuff coming from you for the rest of the year. As always, much love and respect, brother. Big up and bless.
Appreciate it. I know. Everybody be safe.